Good morning, Mr. Makina, and good morning to Mr. Raita.
Hello. I'm Nakamori です。
Hello, this is Nakamori.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Is anyone here? Nakamori speaking.
Yes. Greetings, Mr. Nakamori. Welcome.
Thank you. よろしくお願いします。
Raghu,
Thank you very much.
AC போட்டு விட்டு கதை மூடி விட்டுருவேன்.
We will start very shortly. We're just waiting for one of the panelists.
Imran,
Greetings, Dr. Aslan.
waiting for
We are waiting for Miss Anahita.
Anahita. Anahita from Iran.
Yes.
Anahita. So how long should we take?
Just 1 more minute, we'll wait and then we'll start.
Swap video and chat screen. Swap video and chat screen.
All right. We will start the program now. Greetings to all. On behalf of the ICA-Asian Pacific Committee on Cooperatives in Education Institutions, ICEI, I welcome the chairperson, Dr. Muhammad Aslan Yahya, vice chairperson, Mr. Ichiro Nakamori, and Mrs. Indra Panta, co-secretary, Dr. Yashwant Dongre, and co-secretary, Professor Zeni, members of the ICEI, Deputy President of ANGKASA and ICA Global Board member, Dato Kamaruddin Ismail, our guest speakers from Iran, India, Japan, and Malaysia, fellow cooperators, and young participants from different countries in Asian Pacific. Welcome to all of you. This webinar on opportunities for cooperatives in educational institutions post-COVID-19 is the first webinar program of the ICI in 2021. Last November, we organized a webinar wherein we discussed the impact of COVID-19 on cooperative businesses in educational institutions. 5 months later, while COVID-19 cases are still increasing around the world, we have decided to convene online through this webinar program with an objective to hear from those who are directly involved in cooperatives and educational spaces on what are the opportunities for cooperative education and or campus cooperatives during the pandemic and moving forward. This webinar will be for 2 hours. We will start with the inaugural address by the Deputy President of ANGKASA, followed by a screening of 3 films that were the winning entries in the short film competition organized by the ICEI last year. After the screening of films, we will invite 5 international guest speakers from India, Iran, Japan, and Malaysia who will discuss the opportunities for co-ops in educational institutions with us. This will be followed by a short Q&A session. If you may like to post your questions in the chat box or in the Q&A box anytime during the webinar, please feel free to do so. In the end, the chairperson of the ICEI, Dr. Azlan, will present vote of thanks and closing remarks. Now, without much ado, I cordially invite Dato Kamaruddin Ismail, Deputy President of ANGKASA and ICA Global Board member, to kindly inaugurate the webinar program and address the gathering. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
Yeah, Simran Singh, yeah. Okay. Simran Singh. Okay. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh, and a very good evening to all the participants today. I would like to first thank the ICEI for giving me this opportunity to grace the webinar today. Right. In fact, I'm representing Dato Fatah, the president of ANGKASA, because he got something on today that he cannot avoid. Then he asked me to represent him. And here in Malaysia, cooperative in educational institutions are an important player for community well-being and economy within the institutions. Therefore, we are very grateful for the opportunity to host the first of the webinar series for ICEI. ANGKASA is the apex cooperative body representing more than 14,000 cooperatives in Malaysia. And 2021 marked as the 50th anniversary of ANGKASA. Within ANGKASA, there are over 2,500 cooperatives in educational institutions. Among that, over 2,400 are actually the school co-op with a membership of 1.6 million individuals and turnover of RM 421 million in 2019. And the school cooperative model in Malaysia has been seen as a unique sample of empowerment to use through cooperative, especially in the development of the student, socio-economic knowledge, as well as building entrepreneurial skill. With the continuous support by the government of Malaysia through the Ministry of Education, ANGKASA as the apex for the Malaysian cooperative movement has been directly involved in the development program for school cooperative in Malaysia. School cooperative has been accepted and recognized as one of the most important co-curricular activities in the educational system in Malaysia. Of course, with the effect of the pandemic, school as well as other educational institutions were being closed due to COVID-19, and the income of the cooperative within the institution was affected as well. However, despite the challenge, the cooperative remained to stay committed and continue to come up with innovative ideas and businesses in order to remain resilient and relevant. And I also learned that cooperative at time of this pandemic really have taken the opportunity to really prove our care and concern for the community. I believe all of us agree that pandemic and the new norm that we are adopting makes cooperative be more creative just to make sure we can still serve our members effectively. In this occasion as well, I would like also to thank the ICEI for initiative in the short film competition on the response of cooperative to COVID-19 pandemic early this year. ANGKASA supported the program given that the competition innovatively promotes the cooperative values such as self-help, self-responsibility, democracy, and solidarity. On that note, I would like also congratulate all the winners of the competition and thanks you to all the participants who submitted their videos. All in all, thank you again to ICEI for inviting me to grace this program, and thank you to the committee members for the continuous effort and promotion of cooperative value within educational institutions. We really appreciate your work and we look forward to building mutually beneficial relationship with the members in the region. ANGKASA would like to also offer our partnership, especially in sharing our school cooperative movement model to all of you who are present today. If you like to collaborate with ANGKASA on sharing of this model, do not hesitate to contact us. We will be happy to assist you with it. The COVID-19 pandemic has been definitely infected socioeconomic growth across the globe. It is trying time for us, but at the same time, it's also time for us to demonstrate our resilience. Therefore, we need to continue to learn the best practice and to support each other's work. Continue multilateral cooperation, which is vital in order for us to jointly overcome and recover effectively from this global uncertainty. I hope today you will be having a good sharing from all our speakers today. And I also would like to thank them for sharing their time with us. Thank you again to the ICEI and everyone participating, and have a good webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your inspirational message and joining us for the inaugural ceremony. Indeed, the model of school cooperatives in Malaysia is exemplary and very, very relevant in today's time. Shortly later, I will share the video, the movie that we had made on school cooperatives in Malaysia later in the chat box. Thank you once again for your time and presence. Moving forward, last year during the pandemic, when the nationwide lockdowns were imposed in many countries, we decided that we will engage with youth through creative activities to pique their interest in cooperatives. We launched a short film competition at the Asia Pacific level and invited film entries from students, teachers, and faculty. We received a total of 10 films, 5 from Malaysia, 2 from Japan, 1 each from China, Palestine, and Sri Lanka. The top 3 winners of the competition were awarded prize money worth $950 that was sponsored by ANGKASA. We also awarded certificates of special recognition to best 5 entries and participation certificates to everyone. Some of the winners and participants are also here with us in this webinar program today. Now, during the height of the pandemic, these young participants strived very hard to make these films, as it was not easy to step out during rising infection cases. And we really appreciate and acknowledge their hard work and efforts. We will now screen the top 3 winning films. I hope you enjoy this short movie show. But also, before we screen the movies, I'll just inform our audience today that the first prize was won by Mr. Yudai Yazama and his team from National Federation of University Cooperative Association, NFUCA, Japan. The film presented was on the survey conducted by NFUCA with university students to understand the challenges faced by them during the pandemic and how university cooperatives can help young students. We will now start the movie.
Tutup lampu ni.
全国大学生協連では全国の大学生を対象に緊急アンケートを行いました。
新型コロナウイルスの影響が2020年の2月から一気に全国に広がりました。その影響でそもそも学生がキャンパスに通うことができない、そしてどういう生活をしているのか見えない、そういった状況が続いていたんですね。この中で学生の状況をしっかりと把握して、私たちがどういうことをやっていくべきか。
Just wanted to check if my screen is visible.
You can only hear your voice.
We can't see anything except your voice.
Moment, please.
Kita boleh handle tak?
Boleh, dia dekat dia.
Okay, now okay.
Okay.
Now it is visible?
No, no.
Okay.
全国大学生協連では全国の大学生を対象に緊急アンケートを行いました。
新型コロナウイルスの影響が2020年の2月から一気に全国に広がりました。でその影響でそもそも学生がキャンパスに通うことができない、そしてどういう生活をしているのか見えない、そういった状況が続いていたんですね。この中で学生の状況をしっかりと把握して、私たちはどういうことをやっていくべきか、それを考えるべく学生自身と成長職員も一緒にやっていこうというので始まったのがアンケートの活動です。
実施目的は3つ。学生の実態を把握し、取り組みにつなげること。各大学生協が大学とのコミュニケーションを行うきっかけにすること。大学生のリアルな実態を広く社会に訴えていくこと。
実際4月、5月、そして7月に行って、合計で5万件以上の声が集まりました。実際に印刷したものですが、学部生のデータでも非常にたくさんの声が集まっています。
オンラインの授業でどこまで学べるか不安だ。課題が多く、睡眠時間が減って体調を崩しやすくなった。相談する相手がいない。生活費がないが、アルバイトはできない。学費が払えない。入学したてで友達を作る機会がない。
学生が今、大きく分けて3つの危機に直面していることが分かりました。1つ目、暮らしの危機です。学生が学びたくても、そのためのお金が手に入らない。生活するためのお金が手に入らない。アルバイトができない中で、そういった経済的に苦しい学生が非常に増えていることが分かります。で、2つ目がですね、学びの危機です。4月当初はどんな形で大学の授業が行われるか分かりませんでした。5月以降もオンライン授業が中心になり、実習ができない、就職活動ができない、そして本来であれば、キャンパスに一緒に学んで、一緒に仲間と話して学べたことが思ったようにできない、そういった危機に直面しています。そして3つ目はコミュニティの危機です。大学は本来、人と人とがつながる、人と人とが出会って、そこで新しい気づき、新しいつながりができる場です。それができない状態の中で、大学で相談できる仲間がいない、学び、暮らしが大変な中でも、相談して解決し合う仲間がいない、そういったコミュニティの問題も出てきています。暮らしの危機、学びの危機、そしてコミュニティの危機、この3つの危機をですね、大学生協が今すぐ取り組むべき、テーマというふうに捉えて、活動を進めています。
一人ではできないこともみんなでならできる。全国の仲間が励まし合いながら活動を続けています。
Thank you so much, Mr. Uday, for that beautiful film. Now, the second prize winner of the competition is Miss Alicia Nazim and her team from Maria Junior Science College, Batu Pahat School Cooperative, Taksim, Malaysia. The film presented by her is on charity work undertaken by young members of Batu Pahat School Cooperative during the pandemic, despite facing financial issues in their own lives. Can you see my screen? Can you tell me?
Hidup ini sudah berubah. வெளியே பார்க்கும் போதெல்லாம் அது எனக்கு பழைய நாட்களை தான் ஞாபகப்படுத்துது. Sejak pandemik COVID-19 melanda,
事情都不一样了，我该怎么这样生活呢？
எங்க அப்பாவுக்கு வேலை போச்சு. ஒரே மன அழுத்தம், கவலை.
的朋友被感染了。现在我只有我一个人。
என்னால ஒரு ஸ்கூலுக்கு தேவையான பொருளுக்கு கூட காசு கட்ட முடியல. அது ரொம்பவும் கஷ்டமா இருந்தது.
我想离去。但是回想过去的事也没有用了。
Tapi kalau aku rasa hidup aku susah,
那么其他人呢？我需要继续前进，接受这困难。
demi mengubah kehidupan aku, demi mengubah kehidupan orang lain. Mungkin nampak remeh. ஆனாலும் இது ஒரு சின்ன விஷயம் கூட மற்றவங்களுக்கு ஒரு பெரிய அர்த்தத்தை கொண்டு வரலாம் தானே.
At first, I thought my life was the hardest. But I guess I was wrong.
Thank you very much, Alicia, for that inspiring movie. Indeed, it is our dedication and our labor that helps us come out of difficult situations. The third prize winner was Miss Noor Alia and her team from MRSM Cooperative, Transgrin, Palau Pinang, Berhad, Malaysia. The film presented by her is on social distancing and safety protocols adopted at the school cooperative store by young members of MSRM Cooperative. Please give me a minute.
Welcome to Cooperative of MRSM Transcript. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we as a member of cooperative institution of MRSM Transcript will take all of the responsibility of our student self-help. Ensure social imprisonment is practiced all the time. Ensure all staff and customers undergo a body temperature inspection process before entering the cooperative. Students are required to scan QR code MySejahtera at the entrance. Students are required to show proof of MySejahtera to the party on duty. Provide hand cleaning service at the cooperative entrance. Mandate the use of nose and mouth masks for staff and customers. Limit the number of customers entering the cooperative depending on the number of baskets provided. As many as 8 baskets are provided. And I'm not trying to be with you now. But I could be a crush, I could throw you for a rush. I could open and text me so I could tell you I've been thinking about your touch. I touch, 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 touch. I could be a crush, 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 crush. I got a fascination with your presentation, making me feel like you're on my island in my vacation. Customers are required to keep a distance when they want to pay at the payment counter. My calendar with stuff I can do. Maybe if I'm busy, it could keep me from you. I'm pretending you ain't been on my mind. But you've been interested in the things that you like. And I'm just trying to play it cool now. But that's not what I wanna do now. And I'm not trying to be with you now. But I could be a crush, I could throw you for a rush. Not only cash payments are provided, but e-wallet payments are also provided. Customers who pay using e-wallet need to confirm their payment at the payment counter. Social distancing between customers are required while using the computer service to follow the SOP rules. Printing services are available to help students completing their tasks and homework given by teachers. Keep the place clean and always sanitized to prevent from spreading the COVID-19. That's all from us. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Noor, for that gentle reminder to all of us that the pandemic is not yet over and we need to follow all the protocols that we should be following regularly. And I hope everyone enjoyed watching these amazing films as much as I did. And once again, many congratulations to all the winners. Moving forward, to commence our discussions, I now invite Dr. Noorayani Mohammed to moderate the discussions. Dr. Mohammed was the Director of Research and Development and Industry Linkage between the Ministry of Higher Education, Malaysia, an Associate Professor at University Technology Mara, the largest university in Malaysia, Director of CSR and Director of Corporate Communication at SME Co-op Malaysia. She is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Accounting and Management from California State University, an MBA holder from US, and obtained her PhD in Accounting and Finance from the University of Birmingham, UK. At present, she is the General Manager of International Division of ANGKASA, overseeing 3 units under this firm, namely the International Relations, the ICA Malaysia Business Office, and the International Trade Development. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Mohammed. The floor is all yours now.
Thank you, Ms. Simran. Welcome to webinar, to ICI webinar post-COVID-19 opportunities for cooperative in educational institution. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Ms. Simran. And I wish to welcome all participants and all speakers to our ICEI webinar, Opportunities for Cooperative in Education institution post-COVID-19. And since that this session will be my session to be conducted, we have 5 speakers, namely Dr. C. Pichai, Mrs. Anahita Eslapazil, Mr. Yoto Ishihida, Mr. Ichihiro Nakamori, and Prof. Dr. Wan Yusuf. I will read their biodata, all 5 of them, before I begin asking them to speak on their title. Okay. The first speaker is Dr. C. Pichai. He's a professor and head of Department of Cooperation at the Gandhiram Rural Institute, India. So a PhD graduate in commerce in Anamala University, holds an MBA degree from Bharata Distant University and Cooperative Management postgraduate from Gandhiram Rural Institute. And he has over 27 years in teaching and training experience. Besides being a professor at GRI, he also has served in foreign service at Makela University, Ethiopia. He is very active in publication, presenting papers, and have participated in seminars and conferences at national and international level. And his area of specialization in the primary area is in the cooperative management, secondary area in rural development, and field of focus is in the cooperative credit. The second speaker is Ms. Anahita Eslapazil, CEO of Rahi Rochelle Cooperative Education Complex, Iran. Ms. Anahita, she's a CEO of the Cooperative Education Complex, Iran, obtained a degree in mathematics and MBA from Sharif University of Technology. She too has vast experience as cooperative education member and has sat on many cooperative education boards, and she's very active in participating and holding domestic and international training events, and her work on education, cooperative education, have since been recognized since 2009. She is a member of the Iranian Cooperators House since 2016, and she is a member of ICA since 2018. And the third speaker is Mr. Ishida, and he is the NFUCA Student Committee member in charge of international relations. He is the former Kansai Hokuriku Block Student Committee chairperson. And currently he is a student of Graduate School of Human Welfare Studies at Kwansei Kaguen University, Japan. And the fourth speaker is Mr. Nakamori. He is the Managing Director and the CEO of the NFUCA Japan. And he too has a vast experience with students and university cooperatives, a cooperator since early age, and he joined the NFUCA Student Committee since in 1994, followed by Kyoto University Co-op in 1995. In 2007, he was appointed as the Executive Director of Kyoto University Co-op, followed by Executive Director of Business Association in Kyoto in 2019, and later in wider Kansai Hokuriku region. And last but not least, our fifth speaker is from Malaysia. This is Professor Dr. Wan Yusuf. He is a chair of UNICAP, deputy chair of ANGKASA Selangor, deputy chair of Mosque Cooperative at Sungai Merak, Malaysia, a retired professor in industrial biotechnology at University Kebangsaan Malaysia, and a field consultant at Entrust Ventures Niam Berhad, a commercialization platform for invention and intellectual property, IPR. And without how we conduct the session now is that each and every speaker will have 10 minutes each, because we have 5, so we have 50 minutes, and thereafter I will leave up to the Q&A sessions where we begin at 3:30. So I may now invite Mr. Dr. C. Pichai to lead this session. Please.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to people from Iran, where we have a presenter, Madam Anhanahita. And in fact, I thank the moderator, Dr. Noraini Mohammed, for a nice introduction. And I also thank the President of ANGKASA, Dato Abdullah, and all the co-presenters like Mr. Rayata and Mr. Nakamori and Mr. Wan Yusuf. And in fact, I have to thank Mr. Simran for making a nice program. And in fact, my thanks are due to Dr. Dongre, who initiated this, and he only motivated me to make a presentation on this topic. And thank you so much. I will not take much time. Now, as said, I will take only 10 minutes to make my presentation. And before I start the presentation, I would like to just give a brief introduction about the cooperative movement in India. In fact, the cooperative movement is one of the largest movement in the world. Indian cooperative movement, I have to say. Totally around 8.54, almost 0.8 million or 0.9 million cooperatives are there in India. I'm just giving you in the Indian context only. 8.54 lakh cooperative societies are in India that are functioning, and membership is around 290 million people are there as a member of the cooperative. And if you take the network coverage of the cooperatives, almost 98% of the villages are covered by cooperatives, in which the tax, that is primary agricultural credit cooperative society, cover around 91%. And when you take the disbursement of agricultural credit by these cooperatives, because these primary agricultural societies are located at the village level, and they only provide the credit to the farmers for raising their agricultural produces, crops, and its presence, it's roughly we can say that from 13 to 17% of credit is given by this agricultural credit. In fact, some 30-40 years back, the percentage of credit disbursed by the cooperatives was around 50 to 60%, and over a period of time, the percentage of credit disbursed by the primary cooperative societies to the farmers have come down for various reasons, right? And next one is fertilizer distributed was around 35%. Probably everyone may be knowing that in the recent World Cooperative Monitor, as far as the per capita data, based on that, IFCO stands first in the world as far as that. And we have a few cooperatives like Amul cooperatives were also there in the top 300 cooperatives that has been listed by the ICA in the World Cooperative Monitor. And if you take the fertilizer distribution, as I told you, there are 35%. IFCO is the major producer, one of the largest fertilizer producer in the country. And if you take the sugar produced, around 30% of the sugar is produced by the cooperative institution, whereas milk production, the procurement of cooperative was only around 10% only, because the what is called vendors, milk vendors are there in every village, and they cover most of the things. But still, in the cities, the disbursement by the cooperatives are very much there. And if you take the direct employment as far as the cooperatives are concerned, it is around 13%, and self-employment generated by persons is around 11%. And as I told you, this is one of the largest cooperative movement in the world, by having almost 9 lakh cooperative institution. And as I told you, if you name any activity, we have a cooperative. That is the uniqueness of India. We have a wide spectrum of cooperatives. If you take any activity, anything, we have a cooperative institution. Such a wide coverage is there. The tentacles have been spread almost to all the activities which are carried out by people in the country. Right? That's why we say that it is one of the biggest cooperative. And we can just move the slide, next slide. And now I'll just, you can just move to the next one. Now I'll just talk of the pandemic impact on the cooperatives, because this is overall only I'm just talking about. Particularly, the lending has affected much throughout the country because there is no movement at all. Cooperative institutions were almost closed, and there was dearth of funds for the farmers to raise their crops. But still, in some states, people, the cooperators came out with some innovative ideas, creative ideas. They just gave 3 to 6 months of short-term loans, and it is gold loans were also given to the farmers for a short span of time, because people felt that the pandemic, corona, will just be over by within 6 months period or 1 year period. And that's how the short-term credit was planned and it was given. And one more thing, the government also just came out with another innovative idea where it gave an assistance and to the farmers by extending the moratorium period of the repayment by 3 months, and it was extended further also. It was a great help for the farmers because, as I told you, there was no credit lending was there, and the processing activity has not taken place much, and in harvesting also it has not taken place because the restriction of lockdown period, and you cannot get the laborers for harvesting also. That was also there. Another important thing is that transport was also closed because of the lockdown, and by having all these things, the farmers were at the in risk, and they faced almost all the problems, right? And this is there, and you have mandis, agricultural producer marketing committee is there, cooperative marketing societies were there, and through which only the farmers used to market their produces. And they were also partially closed, and in some cases it was almost closed. So in that case, the farmers were at risk of selling their agricultural produces, and the government, particularly few states, I will just can go quote Tamil Nadu is one state where it did a lot of things for the farmers to move their agricultural produces to the cities and towns and sell those things in the cities. And the procurement was done by the primary level cooperatives, and it was transported and it was sold in the towns and cities also through the cooperative outlets. And this is one measure during this pandemic the cooperatives did. And another thing was that the gold loan or the short-term loan which is required by the farmers, the cooperative, because since there was a restriction of movement of the farmer members to the cooperative society, the secretaries are the managers, we call them, and they are the people who will be the office level, who will be processing all these applications of the loan and then providing the loan. So these people, by getting the information through or over a phone, and they used to go to the farmer's house and then give the money to them, give a loan to the farmers. So such arrangements were also made to the farmers, and so particularly we have to say there was a poor supply chain management because the procurement was also less and the processing activity did not take place, and it could not be sold to the consumers in time. And that is one thing. And consumer cooperatives also faced another important problem because the shops have to be closed, the stores have to be closed, and the customers movement is also restricted, and because of that the sale in the consumer cooperative are also in doldrums. And whereas it was a peculiar case as far as the milk is concerned, in most of the cases, even whether it is in Tamil Nadu or in Kerala or in Maharashtra or in Gujarat, the general opinion and general data which is showing is that the procurement was really good during the pandemic period. The cooperatives at the primary level, the village cooperatives also made a wide arrangement of procuring the milk from the farmers, particularly milk owners, and from there it was transported to the unions, and those essential items were allowed by the government for movement, and that transport was happening. And the milk in the bulk milk cooler, it has been transferred to the union, the district level, and there the milk were processed and distributed to the consumers. And nowhere we found that dearth of milk at the consumption point, and there was no problem in the procurement side also. So this is one peculiar case we see from during the pandemic period, whether it is March, April, May. During that period, it was going on very well. And if you take the handloom cooperatives, India has got a lot of handloom cooperatives spread in different parts of the country, and handloom cooperatives particularly faced a lot of problems because there was no movement of the customers, And because of that, whether the primary societies or the federation who has, which has got the sales centers and shops, they were also almost closed. And because of that, even the old stock was piling up in the godowns, and they could not able to sell the old stock. And because of that, they have not given the orders for the new weaving to the weavers. And because of that, particularly handloom cooperatives faced a lot of problems. And what ultimately happened was that this resulted in loss in the surplus making and incurred loss also. And it found very difficult to pay salaries even to the employees who are working in the cooperatives. And this was the situation, particularly we see during the pandemic period. I have just given you an overall view of the cooperatives during the pandemic period, how it got affected, and how government came out with some initiatives. And number of cooperatives, particularly during this period, helped the members and also non-members. As we know that one of the principle is that concern for community. Really, that worked very well during this period. And number of institutions, whether it is Amul, or Uralangal Labor Contract Cooperative Society, or credit cooperatives in different states, or consumer cooperatives, or marketing cooperatives, they did an yeoman service during this particular period. That's what I would like to say. And now I just move on to our topic, that is educational institutions and how cooperatives are helping the educational institutions, particularly members, the students, and also the staff community. And roughly, I don't know about the other countries, particularly in India, over a period of time, if you take the data, the cooperatives, whether it is university cooperatives or college cooperatives or cooperatives in the schools, are coming down for various reasons. And it is obvious that the number of cooperatives are coming down. And in India, there are 1,000 cooperatives are functioning. And I will just give you the data about the total universities in India. Roughly around 1,000 universities are there, and 154 Institute of National Importance is there, and roughly around 40,000 colleges are functioning in India. And if you take schools, it is 0.8 million schools are there throughout the country, and the student strength is around 38 to 40 million. And this is the strength. And normally, you know that India has got largest population, and the colleges and schools also, we have a number of students. And in that case, really, we can do wonders in the colleges, universities, and also in the schools. And somehow it is not taking place. That is what I'm trying to reiterate. The number of university campus cooperatives were more some 10 years or 15 years back. Now it is coming down slowly for obvious reasons, right? So that is one thing. Second one is that the college cooperatives total number, it ranges around 10,000. Now the present strength is 10,000, and in each state we could able to find out 500 to 600 or 700 cooperatives. We have states, and in each state the cooperatives, as per the legislation, the students cooperatives or the cooperatives in educational institutions have to be registered under the State Act only. So in that case, only the Department of Cooperation in the state takes care of or supervises or monitors the functioning of the students cooperatives or college cooperatives. So in that case, the registration of the students cooperative is also lies with the Department of Cooperation. So over a period of time, that is what we have even in. Yeah,
Professor Dr. C. Pitai,
yeah.
I wish that you can cut short the presentations because time is running for.
Right. I just move on to the issues. Right. Thank you.
Okay.
You can just move to the next slide.
Okay. I'll give you a few more minutes.
Right, please, ma'am. Thank you so much. We'll just move on to the next slide. And general problems what we have seen in the students cooperative is that lack of staff participation is there. Lack of students participation is also there. Absence of national level network is also another problem that we have found out. Lack of awareness regarding importance of campus cooperatives among the students, because continuously we are reiterating to the state governments and also central government to have a subject in the degree or in the school education. Cooperation subject should be taught in the schools and also colleges as one subject, So that is what we are reiterating. Cooperative legislation and powers are still rest with the officials only. Non-officials are not having so much of power. And lack of professionalism is another problem that we have seen. And lack of diversification, that also we could able to see in the students' cooperatives. Creativity is also lacking. And particularly, I will just give you some issues which are there in different colleges and schools. If you take the professional colleges, this is during the pandemic period. During the pandemic period, the professional colleges did not affect much. Only for 2-3 months, the problem was there, particularly the professional colleges, which I'm talking about, medical college and also engineering colleges. So wherever we have cooperative societies in those colleges, that was not affected because one is the book, which is very rare. You cannot get such books, medical books in the outside. Only this cooperative society used to give, and the instruments and stationaries. Stethoscope, thermometer, and that white coat, everything was provided by these professional colleges. And after a few times, 3-4 months after the pandemic lockdown, the colleges were for the freshers were open, and because of that, regular sales was there. And this was the problem. This was the things we could find in the professional colleges. Whereas it was totally opposite in the case of universities and colleges. Campus was closed, students were not there, and staff members were also restricted for 3-4 months. And because of that, the sales came down, and there was no alternative for these people to go. And even these cooperatives felt very bad for paying for salary to the employees. Same case with the schools also. Students were restricted. Students, no classes were held, and staff's movements were also restricted. And since there was no business, no income was there, and even they found it very difficult to pay salary to the people. Right? This ultimately has resulted in the loss of business. Surplus was not there, and that problems were also there. Please move to the next slide. Right. So activities during the pandemic was offline classes started by early, and books and instruments required were supplied. Corona kits were also supplied in the professional colleges. Groceries supplied to the homes of the members. This is the thing which you could say. I will just give you one example. In Madurai Medical College, that is one medical college which is the largest medical college cooperative stores, we can say. The total turnover is around 8 crores of rupees in Indian rupees. I'm just talking about. And what they did during the pandemic period was that, of course, the book sales came down, and they found an alternative. They prepared a package of groceries and supplied to the staff members at their doorsteps. This is one thing they did. And with the older students who are now heading the health department in different districts, they contacted those people. During the pandemic period, the government took a lot of initiatives for curtailing the coronavirus. And because of that, they need a lot of medical kits. So all those kits were supplied by this medical college. This is another important factor. So because of that, the volume of business increased. And third one is that in the hospitals, government hospitals, exclusive corona wards were created, and almost all the materials were supplied by these medical cooperatives, students cooperative stores only. And because of that, we don't find any decrease in the sales, and really this helped. But whereas it was totally opposite as far as the other cooperative institutions are concerned. That is what I was telling you. Now I'll just give you the future plan. And as I told you, in the training college cooperative, that was also very poor. In the university cooperative, the sales came down. And one thing we could able to find, one example, Mangalore University Cooperative, which is running arts and science courses, and there was no much variation from the sales because this cooperative society used to give loans. It differs from state to state. In Tamil Nadu state, there is no credit facilities provided to the members of the cooperatives. Whereas in few states like Karnataka, not only the groceries or consumer articles were also sold by the students and staff cooperatives, they also go for credit facilities, whereas it is not there in most of the states. So in that case, the Mangalore University Cooperative Society is providing credit, and that was going on, and there was no problem with the repayment since the amount was recovered from their salary, and that is what Mangalore University Cooperative was doing, and almost it could able to pay the salary for those people also. And now I will be giving you the future plan of the students cooperatives that they are planning. Now they are planning to go for online sales and, if possible, telephone sales also. That's how the medical college students cooperative stores at Madurai was doing. They just called the members over phone, and asked their grocery requirement for that month, and it was packed and supplied to the members' home. So home delivery was made. And another number of stores, because in most of the stores, the grocery was not sold. I mean, purified water is also another problem. Medical kit sales was also there. And all those things, now they plan to diversify. In most of the schools and colleges, if you find, they will be selling only stationery items, not other items. Now, since there is a demand, necessity is the mother of invention. Normally, that's what the saying goes. So there was a necessity. Now the sales has come down. People are not coming to the campus. And because of that, they are now forced to go for diversification and also reach the members over phone or online. They just go and then they have to go to the doorsteps. This, the number of cooperatives are now planning. Another one is collecting cooperative brands of all types and to sell to the members. Not only that, only cooperative, they will collect from different cooperative institutions and they will try to sell. Another important factor, the future plan is that contacting the alumni of those schools or colleges or universities. And they will try to find out whether it can be, whether the business can be expanded through them. So that is what they are doing. And finally, contacting the cooperative department of the government and whatever the requirement the government department is having and other cooperative institutions are having. And these students cooperatives are trying to sell through this process. And this is the future plan of the cooperatives. And this is what I would like to say. This is what is going on in India. And that's it. Madam.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. C. Pichai.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. C. Pichai. You've been talking on the cooperative in India and also their role, their pandemic impact on the cooperative in the education institution in India. Yes. And general problems, future plan, as well as the issues during the pandemic and the activities done during the pandemic. Due to time, I would wish that all speakers will stay at their 10 minutes presentation time limit. Sure. And the next, the second speaker, I would like to invite Ms. Anahita Alaspaze. Please. Please, the slot is yours.
Hello to everyone. I hope all of you and your family are healthy and everything goes smooth and good for all of you. The topic that you asked us to speak about is about education and cooperatives. And I want to say that the opportunities, if we can say that they are opportunities that this pandemic gave us, are really great, I think, for educating people, and in I think distance learning can help in many ways. One of the good things that happened to improve the state of public education is the possibility of equal access to education has somehow increased. If we actually presume that everyone has some degree of access to distance learning, classes with reasonable and high qualities have been made available to the general public. Because in many regions in our country, we didn't have trained teachers or environment for schools. So by now we can give them a very good material, and the teachers from distance can help them to educate. Now, if we assume that these teachings, we are talking about schools and teaching, a high level of education can be created or made low income, developing region with a lesser investment. For example, the salary of the teachers that should go from one state to another state for teaching and having making schools and everything like this. Therefore, this opportunity has been given to us to benefit from education content produced by schools, educational institutes, and to educate less advantaged children. On the other hand, cooperatives have had special training in their own fields, such as how to start or run a business in the field of cooperatives, or management strategies, collaborating, and human resource, and etc. For all of these fields, I think that we can have a very good time and material to we can exchange our experiences and solve our problems together in this virtual environment that the COVID has gave us. Exchanging experience, I think it's very important at this time, and we were talking about a program called Co-op Talk for exchanging these experiences. We tried it by co-op teachers, and it was a very nice period of time that we had many of teachers that teach in other schools that they are cooperative or they are not. We could have a good knowledge from them, and we all of us had many in common problems that we could share and solve somehow with each other. On such program that Co-op Talk, the Rohairosh Cooperative has made a very effort to execute this program internationally in Asia, in our country, Iran, from conversation and dialogue about cooperatives. Related experiences share with everyone that tactic knowledge generated in the organization and individuals. Typically, the achievement of this goal would require holding a seminar, a hall, equipment, transfer, and everything like this, which under the current circumstances surrounding the COVID-19 epidemic are held line. This is an opportunity that can be turned maybe it can turn to be an opportunity to reduce overhead costs and to increase the speed and quality of dissemination of knowledge and experience between people. The field of education can be a very good field for the public to become further acquainted with the cooperatives. Many of the people in our country don't know about the educational institutes that can be run in the cooperative way. And I think it's the best time that we can introduce ourselves. If each of the cooperatives can define short, effective educational content and simple early return courses in their own field of specialization about their business and the impact of being a cooperative on the prosperity of their business, great things will happen regarding knowledge between cooperatives and other business fields. One of the reasons that we as cooperatives keep advertising, discussing, and complementing ourselves is that our connection to the world of non-cooperatives is unrealistic and ineffective. The COVID-19 epidemic allows us to introduce ourselves more and more to non-cooperative businesses and to have great and better communication with individuals in the community, communicating with those who unfortunately are unfamiliar with the benefits of the goods and services and products of the cooperatives. Therefore, the opportunity to introduce ourselves is an exceptional one. And no doubt that the group work that used to be undertaken in cooperatives can continue to be practiced in virtual groups. Occasions people used to talk to each other to raise their problems and issues and easily reach common solutions and together improve their livelihoods, their social problems. Opportunities have been created in virtual social interactions also, like the clubhouse or cooperatives in other environments that we should find for ourselves and use them. Hybrid training can also be considered as an option. Naturally, after COVID-19 pandemic, education, we think that will not return to early time, to the early form that has been before. And certain social and skill-oriented reflections will be conducted face-to-face in groups. There is also the topic of knowledge transfer and teaching, many other subjects in online form, which can help expand educational spaces so that they can be transformed into platforms, spaces. The schools are going to be like a place for communicate, not sharing knowledge. And that can help many countries that they don't have enough room for the classes and for many of, and they don't have enough money for putting in this educational. They can use the distance learning for and decrease their money that they have to spend. In the context of COVID pandemic, connecting with technology and is in different areas of life is opportunity, I think, that can be prepare people in the community to connect with each other and to simply simplify their lives, and they can keep their time for themselves, for the opportunities, for the things that matters to them, and they can spend their times to the things that matter to them more. And I think that it's very important that we can make this time a special time for cooperatives to come up with what they have done all these years, and somehow we can relieve and get and somehow everyone can see us, and there is no need to go place by place for saying that we are somehow different, and we can get make better service or products and make jobs for people, and we think about being useful, not only for the we think about the environment and transparency and everything like this. So I think that it can be a very good opportunity for increasing our knowledge about cooperatives in different ways. For example, our cooperative is working on human resource right now in cooperatives and in schools, and there are a lot of issues that we can think about and share it and make this time that everyone is in a I think it's not a correct situation, but we can make it a golden time for all of us. Thank you very much for this opportunity that you gave me, and hope all of you health and good time.
Thank you, Ms. Anahita Alashpazir. That was the discussion that you had just now is very informative and very receptive. And to sum up your talk, is you are talking about there should be a mature environment that could assist the cooperators and non-cooperators for you to share ideas, exchange material, and thus this was safe movement from one place to another place during the pandemic. and we save the environment, as well as you have mentioned that just now. In this manner, you could, your mutual environment could provide employment and cooperation among the cooperators and non-cooperators. We thank you, Ms. Anahita, and now we would like to invite both speakers from Japan, Mr. Ishihida and Nakamori. Please, the slot is yours now.
はい、皆さん、こんにちは。中森です。
Hello everyone, my name is Nakamori.
このような発表の機会をいただきまして、どうもありがとうございます。
I'm very honored to have this opportunity to speak to you.
NFUCA からの報告は、中森と、石田がですね、連続でコメントをさせていただきます。よろしくお願いします。
So in our speech, Nakamori, myself, and Ishida will give some explanations from NFUCA.
日本の NFUCA は、日本の大学の中のですね、生活協同組合ということで、約800の大学のうちの200の大学の生協として存在をしています。
NFUCA is located in the University Corp, and there are 800 universities, and among which 200 universities have the University Corps.
先ほどのムービーにもありましたけど、今回その、コロナが起こった後にですね、私たちは、学生生活がどのように変化をしているのかということを、アンケートで調査をしています。
And as you can see from the film that we showed earlier, we conducted a survey to find out how university students' life changed after COVID-19.
その結果をですね、簡単に今日はご紹介をした上で、それに対して、日本の NFUCA がどのような活動をしているのかを、後ほど、石田さんから紹介をしていただきます。
So today, I would like to share with you the results from the survey, and at the same time, what we are doing, and NFUCA doing some activities against that, and this will be presented by Mr. Ishida.
全体的な特徴はですね、次のページに、まとめておりますが、一つは、やはりですね、コロナの影響を受けて、非常にその大学生活の、悩みであるとか、苦しい状況がですね、調査結果からも明らかになっているというのが一つ目の特徴です。
And the overall features, and one of them is that after COVID-19, students are struggling in their life. That is the one thing in particular we've seen after the COVID-19.
もう一つ大事な特徴は、とりわけですね、昨年度の春に新しく入学した1年生のところがですね、2年生以上のよりも非常にその異なる調査結果が出ているというのが大きな特徴になっています。
And the second feature that I would want to mention is particularly among the first year students. So the first year students entered into the university last spring, and they have a different tendency against the other students, such as second year and third year and fourth year students.
この理由は何かと考えますとですね、やはり2年生以上は、そのコロナの前のですね、大学生活での人間のつながりがですね、あったことに対して、新入生は全く人のつながりがない中で、大学生活が始まってしまった、その違いが大きいのではないかというふうに分析をしています。
And one of the reasons is that for second year and third year and fourth year students, they had some friends before COVID-19. However, the first year students didn't have a chance to connect with people.
特徴点の、大きな特徴点を3つだけご紹介をします。次のスライドに、移っていただきたいのですが、じゃあ次のスライドに移ってください。
So the next slide, please.
はい。これがですね、アルバイトの収入の変化ということで、日本の大学生も他の国と同様にですね、アルバイトの収入が大きく減少しているというのが特徴としては出ています。
And one of the this slide shows the part-time job and the income decline. And the Japanese university students also face the challenges of the decreased income from the part-time jobs.
このことによって、大学の学費をですね、アルバイト収入で、工面している、学生が非常にその大学学業を続けることにですね、困難な状況が生じているというふうに分析をしています。
And our analysis is that students have some struggles to pay off their tuition.
もう一つの特徴は次のスライドにありますが、アルバイトというのは、学生にとってはですね、非常に貴重な、社会体験の場だというふうに思います。
And another feature that I would like to mention is that for students, part-time job is not just the income source, but also an opportunity for them to have a social experience.
この、アルバイトの経験が非常に減少しているというのが、特徴で、とりわけ、1年生がですね、このグラフでいうと赤い線が1年生なんだけど、そこの、経験が非常に低くなっているというのが特徴としては出ています。
And these social experiences are getting less, and especially this is true for the first year students, which is shown in the graph in the red line. So they have less social experiences.
日本の大学生は、アルバイトを通じてですね、さまざまな社会との触れ合いをするというのが今までの姿でしたが、こういったことが今後引き続きですね、やりにくい世の中になっていくのではないかというふうに考えています。
As for Japanese students, they had an opportunity to connect with the society by doing a part-time job. But we believe it will continue to be difficult for them to gain such experience.
次のスライドとしてまとめていますのは、学生生活の充実度のグラフです。
The next slide shows the satisfaction of the students of their university life.
これもですね、赤い実線が、1年生の結果ですが、見ていただければ分かるように、1年生が大きく、充実度をですね、落としているのが分かります。
And as you can see in this graph, the red line is again first year students. As you can see from here, you can see a significant sharp drop here.
またですね、それ以外の線が2年生、3年生、4年生になりますが、そこと比べても1年生の減少の度合いが非常に大きいというのが読み取れると思います。
And as you can see from this graph, that other students, such as second year, third year, and fourth year students, they show a higher percentage of level of satisfaction of their university life compared to the first year students.
私たちはですね、次のスライドにありますように、この、状況をですね、3つの危機ということで、まとめています。
And in summary, we confirm these three crises.
先ほどのムービーにもありましたが、暮らしの危機、それから、学びの危機、それからコミュニティを、形成することの危機ということです。
The three crises, as we pointed out in the short film, are crisis of livelihood, crisis of learning, crisis of community.
あと、共同 NFACA の、事業の経営の数字としてはですね、おおむね、売上高で、約 40% の、減少といった形になっています。
The total sales of NFUCA also dropped by 40%.
日本の大学生協はパソコンを、販売をしていますので、パソコンはですね、逆に、オンラインの中で、利用が伸びていますが、食堂とかですね、の利用が非常に大きく減少しているというのが特徴です。
University sell computers, so because of the online classes, our computer sales are good. On the other hand, we have significant drop in the cafeteria usage.
この4月からですね、新しい学期が始まっています。今年はですね、オンラインではなくて、対面講義ということで、今はスタートしていますが、またですね、感染が広がる中で、オンラインに講義に移行していくという動きが起こり始めています。
In this April, this is our new start of the year. At the beginning, we have been conducting face-to-face classes. However, because the COVID-19 situation is getting worse, we believe that online classes will come back soon.
以上が、調査結果の、概要になりますので、こういった、学生生活の実態を受けてですね、NFUCA として、どのような、活動をしているのかを、石田君の方からご報告をお願いします。
That's all about the survey results and the situation of the students facing in Japan. Next, I would like to pass a speech to Mr. Ishida to explain about the activities done by NFUCA.
皆さん、こんにちは。
Hello, everyone.
私は全国学生委員会の石田亮太と申します。僕の方から NFUCA の取り組みについて紹介をさせていただきます。
I'm a student committee member. My name is Ishida, and from me, I would like to explain about the projects and activities done by NFUCA.
先ほど中森専務の方からありました学生の3つの危機に合わせて3つの取り組みを紹介をさせていただきたいというふうに思います。
Just now, Mr. Nakamori mentioned about 3 crises, and from me, I would like to show some 3 projects done by NFUCA.
1つ目は学びコミュニティの危機に対応した新入生歓迎会という取り組みです。
The first project I would like to explain is about the welcome party. This is against our crisis of learning and community.
この取り組みでは新入生の大学生活や友達がいないことへの不安を解消するためにオンラインでレクリゲーションを行いました。
In this project, we have conducted online recreational activities so that new students can ease their anxiety over having no friends.
レクリエーションを通じて新入生同士が仲良くなったり、先輩に大学生活の不安を質問する機会になりました。
This gave them an opportunity to get to know each other and ask questions about university life on the internet.
次の取り組みは暮らしの危機に対応した北海道若者応援プロジェクトです。
The next project is Hokkaido Youth Support Project in response to crisis of livelihood.
先ほどの調査結果にもあった通り、学生の収入が減少していることを受けて、北海道のさまざまな団体が協賛し、学生に対して食材の支援を行いました。
Just now, we mentioned about students having less income. And in response to that, Hokkaido Corporate provided some food and other stuff to students.
最後の取り組みは、暮らしの危機に対応した学生委員会考案メニューという取り組みです。
The last project that I would like to share with you is a menu proposed by student committee in response to crisis of livelihood.
この取り組みではコロナ禍でも健康的な食事をとってほしいという願いから学生委員会が考案したメニューから組合員の投票によって出食するメニューを決定しました。
In this project, we still want students to eat healthy food during the pandemic. So the student committee proposed the menu, and after that, we asked the members to vote which menu they want to eat.
以上が、代表的な取り組みの紹介でした。このように NFUCA では学生と職員が協力しながらこのような危機を乗り越えようと頑張っています。
those are the projects that NAFUCA have been doing. And that's all from me. And in order to survive this situation, students and teachers and staff are working together to overcome the situation.
以上で NFUCA からの発表を終わります。Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Nakamori, and also Mr. Ishihida, on your sharing of ideas and your survey results on the fact-finding on students' life during the pandemic among the first-year students. It's very interesting. And your result shows that the changes in students' life due to the pandemic and their confusion and distress felt by them. I think not only in the Japan, but the Malaysian students too are facing the same problem. They are confused, they are distressed because they are not able to join everyone in the class and they have to stay home. And some of them are locked out in their, are staying in their hostel for almost 6 months without going home. And your surveys acknowledges 3 crises: the crisis of livelihood, crisis of learning, and crisis of community. As well, both of you has discussed on how that you overcome these crises and through your various projects and also programs. We wish to say congratulations to your team. And our last speaker is Prof. Dr. Wan Mokhtar Wan Yusof, the Chair, Koperasi UNICAP Berhad, Malaysia. The slot is yours now, Professor Wan.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Okay, for my presentation, I am concentrating on post-COVID-19 with the theme opportunities for co-ops in educational institutions. I take note all presenters' presentation based on what happened during pandemic. And in Malaysia, I would say more or less the same. Okay, I am Wan Mokhtar Wan Yusof. Those are my current interests and impact daily lives. Yeah, I am the chairman of the cooperative called UNICAP. We are the best in our country, not country, in our state, Selangor. Next, please. So my focus is about continuous life education of cooperators. Now, when I say life education on a continuous basis, I always want to share what it needs. What are the components for management? And here I presented to you the 5 components of an ecosystem of human interactions, which we are as cooperators, with full realization and understanding that the connectivity is between man and also man and his creator. Therefore, I would propose that we take note that the man is Abdullah. Abdullah means he is a slave of the creator, not a slave of man. Number 2, we need to take note of the flow of money. Where does the money come from? Is it good money, or is it laundered money, or is it money from good sources? In Malaysia, we are introducing money from zakat, money from wakaf, and crowdfunding in order to manage many things. Number 3, the dependency of locally available materials. Now, for cooperatives to sustain, we cannot import everything. We cannot rely 100% dependence on external sources. So we need to look into locally available materials, so that we need to go forward with internal strength. Number 4, the need for adopting indigenous methods. Methods are very important, and we need to enhance and to give strength to our local community, and these are important. The fifth one will be the constant updating of data management systems. We need to know post-COVID or even during COVID, how many cooperatives are dormant, how many have not functioned, how many have gone forward. And there are a lot of cooperatives in Malaysia, and I'm sure in India and in Iran and in Japan, that have become better with the advent of this COVID situation, because they have got very good data management system. Next, please. Next slide, please. Yes. Now, the title of this slide is Adapt as the educator and as the learner. We as men, we need to be of the best manners. The cooperator running the cooperative must be the best of men who are very ready to learn new things, ready to unlearn old habits, because post-COVID, you must be ICT savvy. You must be thinking very creative out of the box. We are not going to go back pre-COVID situation. So as cooperator, we are educator, and we should have the adapt, the manners or the mannerism to go forward to be creative and to be innovative. And informal education, that is not a problem for formal education. We have heard in Japan, in India, and all over the place. During COVID, everything went down. Students decreased in morale. Post-COVID, we've got to handle these negative situations in universities, especially because our topic is about educational institution. But we should start from the kindergarten and so on. That is important. Even more important than normal formal education will be the informal education post-COVID. And this must be coming from the men who have this beautiful heart. I call, in Arabic, we call it the qalbun salim, meaning this man has got the heart of going forward, whether it is formal or informal education, to teach and to unlearn, to go forward with the constant awareness that he is part of a beautiful creation. Yeah, and this would entail 3 levels of self-education, if you like, before we educate other people. As cooperator in post-COVID situation, and especially for educational institutions, we need to have these 3 levels of self-education, which is self-evaluation. It's important to evaluate yourself before somebody else evaluating you. And during COVID situation, we are faced with death every day, millions all over the world. We need to have self-control over what we do every day. And this type of education during COVID will have to be flowed out post-COVID, so that these 3 levels of self-education is imbued in us. Therefore, I would like to suggest we take on this level of self-evaluation, self-control, and self-scrutiny. The most difficult part is self-scrutiny. Means that when you cannot control yourself better, you cannot control your anger, you cannot control whatever, or even your eating, after you evaluate, you must be able to check yourself and get into balance again. That's why you need self-scrutiny. Next, please. Next slide, please. Slide number 4. Hello, slide number 4, please. Thank you. Now, as educator, I have read several articles concerning the levels of educator. The highest form is called the Murshid. Murshid is the one who governs the spiritual, intellectual, and the manifestation of knowledge. Knowledge that needs to be taken into the action realm in his community. So this is the man who should be the leader of our cooperative movement. He is the topmost person and he governs. Now, before reaching to become the Murshid, the first level is the Murabbi, who teaches fundamental things. Into becoming the Muaddib before becoming the Murshid. And these are important. The Muaddib is the one who created the adab, the manners, especially in conducting cooperative as an important public institutions. We are holders of people's interest, thousands of them, because cooperatives are not owned by one man or a group of men and women. It is owned by all the members. And this is important, that we as cooperator need to have this level of educators amongst us to become our leaders. Thank you. Next, please. Slide number 5. In Malaysia, these are mentioned every day during our AGM, and we have produced documents with regards to the 7 cooperative principles, and these are extensively mentioned, and ANGKASA played a very important role in ensuring all cooperative under the registered with ANGKASA to have number 1, that it is a voluntary open membership. So post-COVID, this must be further enhanced. We need to further enhance ownership by members, not ownership by a group of people or ownership by a company. No. Number 3, we must have active involvement in economic activities, whether in schools or in universities or in educational institution, private or otherwise. Cooperative must be actively involved in their economic activities, especially post-COVID, because during COVID time, we help them by giving out food and drinks, like what happened in Japan. These are important things, but now we've got to flow it out post-COVID so that we get into the autonomy of governance. That is number 4. Number 5, it is important that we have the freedom to implement. Nobody can say to what the cooperative wants to do after going through the annual general meeting. We've got the policy from there, and the board have got the important task to implement those policies, and we need to have freedom of implementation. Number 6, continuous education is also very important. And I would like to stress here, training is important. We need to develop lots of training programs, lots of workshops. Yeah. And number 7, the cooperative principles that in Malaysia we upheld all the time is cooperation amongst cooperative to produce a civilizing society. Cooperative cannot work in a silo. In fact, in my own cooperative called UNICAP, I developed this concept of a mentor-mentee within the cooperative, and also mentor-mentee within the cooperative and members. We help each other, and these are very important for post-COVID, and these are opportunities for us for educational institutions. Next slide, please. Slide number 6. Slide number 6, please. This is the second last slide. We need to set up, we need to develop, we need to enhance what I call the vibrant cooperative. this demands the man with that qalbun salim that I have mentioned earlier to achieve at least the level of muaddib, the one who created the adab, to administer his vision and mission, beginning with the sincere intention for himself to be the best cooperative man. Without this component, the vibrant cooperative will not be vibrant. Yeah. Second, he or she to head the cooperative must be chosen at the annual general meeting. It should not be appointed. Now it's happening, and it should be post-COVID situation. The appointment of management team to implement the policies of the board members or board policy will have to be properly trained. Yeah. Then we need to take note of the governing entities and to integrate providers of goods and services that forms the macro environment for our cooperative. In Malaysia, this would include the ministries, and we are very, very encouraged by our ministers. In fact, we have a minister to take charge of cooperative. SKM is the governing, it is a Suruhanjaya, Cooperative Malaysia. ANGKASA is ANGKASA, as you know, and ICA-AP is the body that gives out educational programs and the general populace as part of our shareholders, if you like, in bracket. All in all, the vibrant cooperative demands the men, demands the board members, demands the appointment to be in its proper perspective, and demands the inclusiveness of ministries, governing bodies, operating bodies, and the general populace to support the cooperative movement. Last slide, slide number 7, please. Yes, the outcome of all sections. Really, what are we doing all this for? I would like to sum up from my reading of the Islamic text. We call it the 5 maqasid Sharia. This is important. Whatever you do, you must tag along the idea of the protection of the preferred way of life, which is the deen. Everybody has their own preferred way of life, but there must be a limit to freedom, because you need to have the akal. Number 2, you need to have the life. You must protect the life of humans. Then you must protect the nafs. The nafs is the intellect. The intellect is the akal. The nafs is life itself. Fourthly, you must protect the what is it? Nasab. Sorry, number 5. Nasab is lineage, the dignity of man. We cannot have man to behave without the adab, without knowledge of the had, the limit of what is permissible and what is not permissible. So the cooperator, through the cooperative with thousands and thousands of members. In India, you have 200 over million members. These are important outcomes of all our actions as cooperators. And I believe we need to configure out how to manage our actions to fulfill this 5 maqasid Sharia with regards to the governance, with regards to the process of making decisions and making development of human resources for a vibrant cooperative. I'm sure these are vast opportunities for us in the educational institution. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Dr. Wan Mokhtar Wan Yusof, on your insight of the continuous life education of cooperators. Since we are running out of time, we can now start with the Q&A sessions, whereby in our box we do have we have 6 questions, whereby 3 questions focus to Ms. Anahita, and 2 questions is for representative of Japan. So I read the first 3 questions to Ms. Anahita. One, this is from Dr. Dongri. One is that, were there any financial implications on your organization due to COVID-related issue? You got that? Can you manage to get that?
Can you repeat it, please?
Okay. Were there any financial implications on your organization due to COVID-related issue? That is the first question.
Yeah.
That is the financial impact on your organization during COVID.
Okay.
Okay. Secondly, for your question, for yourself to answer, did you start any new activities keeping the long-term? Do you start any new activities keeping the long-term implication of COVID? Is there any new activities that you have planned for after this COVID? And the third question for Ms. Anahita is how your cooperative interacting with and having relationship with other cooperative during the COVID.
Okay, at first, I will go to the first question. We had many problems in the salary because we have 500 teachers, and that was our biggest problem. And we couldn't get the money from the parents very easily as we did the years before. So we had a very difficult time in this part of running the cooperative. But we made it somehow. We made some deals with the parents, and we start to getting money from them step by step, not once at the year. So, and we somehow were in discuss with our colleagues and ask them to have some of the salary as I'm sorry, as their shares in the cooperative. We asked many of them, some of them, to join the cooperative. So we, in not giving them money, we gave them some share in the school and in the cooperative. But about if we have had done anything new during the COVID, our teachers were most from the capital, from Tehran. But after this COVID, we tried to ask the other youngest students in universities and from other part of the country to join us, and we could have somehow a large number of younger people with us for virtual and distance learning part of our job. And it made a very beautiful thing, because we find out that we have a very expert teachers in very far away cities in our country, and somehow they learned a lot, and we could have a good service from them for the students. Another thing that we had in our school during the COVID was the mentors. It isn't the teacher. Most of these young people that joined us from many were from the country. They are the mentors of the students. It's like a mother caring, but from distance. Because most of our families are at work at the time that the children are educating at home with their computers. So the mentor is for 3 or 5 students. She is taking care of everything. What are they eating? Are they having any problem to join the classes, or are they on time or not? And if they are, they have any problem at home, and they can help them. And in many times, it's only a mental problem when the children are alone at home, and the mentors are very useful. The third question, and another thing that we did was that our distance learning service was available for the doctors and nurses that are doing this hard work for their families and their children. We told them, and we had this communication with them, that they can use our service of education for their children freely. But in the case that we have, how we had cooperated with other cooperatives, it wasn't so much that we have done, but somehow we only asked about each other and how we are doing and how we are making these days pass by. It was much more about sharing knowledge and experience, and somehow we could solve some of our little problems with each other. For example, some of them wanted some loans for the education of some of the members. We could help them in this case, and they could some service by food or making our kindergarten is open, and we should make food for the children. So we asked some of them to join us and help us in this part of the running the school. But if you mean something very deeply and somehow united, no, we didn't did such a thing.
Thank you for your responses, Ms. Anahita. A good one to 3 questions. We have 2 questions related, referring to our representative from Japan, and both has been answered in the chat box. So I would like the participants to refer to those 2 answers in the chat box. Another one answer from Dr. same questioner, Dr. Donri. This question is to Malaysia. So our rep from Malaysia is there, please. And the question to Malaysia rep is, I think the mentor-mentee initiative is a very good one. So in this case, who is the mentor? Is it the teacher or one among students? Normally, what issues the mentor address? For a quick answer to these 3 issues or 3 questions. 1, who is the mentor? Number 2, is the teacher or the students becomes the mentor? Thirdly, what is the issue normally mentors address? Prof. Dr. Wan, the question is for you. Can you respond in a quick?
I need unmute. Okay. Who is the mentor? The mentor is the one who is more wise between the two. Usually the wise man will have a beard like me. I am 65. So if somebody in front of me is 40-ish, then I am the mentor usually. Yeah, that's man to man. If cooperative to cooperative, the best cooperative as announced by the governing body becomes the mentor. And we have top 100 in Malaysia. For my cooperative, I am top 27. So I chose the one below me, and I offer that I would like to become cooperative mentee for you. I teach them, I go and visit them. And what usually we mentor about, it is about the challenges of being a man or a woman in COVID situation and post-COVID. What happens when the cooperative becomes dormant? We go and meet them. And me as position of the vice chairman for cooperative, the whole of the Selangor state, I am empowered to call them for a roundtable discussion and discuss with them heart to heart, face to face, or even hybrid. What are your problems? We solve that. And mostly the problem is not about money, no. It is about the man who is in a distressed situation and who doesn't know what to do. So we tackle that, and hopefully they will be able to do things by themselves. We help them to become a good man. I think I hope I have answered the question. ANGKASA.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
I think we should give away one more question. We should answer to one more question. This is meant for the rep of Japan. The question is how the challenge of livelihood is addressed in student cooperatives in Japan. Any, Mr. Nakamori? Can you hear the question? Okay, how is the challenge or the crisis of livelihood had been addressed?
はい、中森です。
Do you want me to repeat the question?
石田さん答えますか。
はい、僕の方から回答させていただきます。
Let me answer the question.
Okay.
はい、日本では暮らしの危機に対して、まず学生同士がつながることで乗り越えようと考えています。
So firstly, in response to the crisis of livelihood, in Japan, we are trying to connect students.
例えばこのコロナ禍でお互いの生活が見えなくなったので、助け合うことができなくなってしまいました。
For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we have not seen each other, so we can't really see how they live during the COVID-19.
その状況の中でつながる機会、このようにオンラインを使ったつながる機会を作ることで、お互いにどのように助け合うことができるかについて、話し合う機会などを設けています。
So, because we don't know the situation of each other, we create an opportunity to connect each other online, and that will give us an opportunity to cooperate together.
また、先ほどの発表した例にもあった通り、さまざまな団体と協力したり、大学と連携をすることで学生の生活を守ってきました。
And as I mentioned in my presentation, we work together with various organizations and universities to help students.
これで回答になっていますでしょうか？
That's all from me. Does that answer your question?
Yes. We have one more question for Mr. Pichai. However, I will say that this question should be answered in the chat box. So all participants, please refer to the responses by Mr. Pichai, Dr. Pichai in the chat box. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank every one of you, all the speakers, and I'm going to hand over my session to Ms. Simran. Please, Ms. Simran.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed, and to all the speakers. I now invite Chairperson of the ICEI, Dr. Azlan, who is also the Vice President of ANGKASA, to present vote of thanks and closing address. Dr. Azlan, on behalf of the ICEI Secretariat, I take this opportunity to thank you and ANGKASA for co-organizing the webinar with ICEI and sponsoring the award for winners of the short film competition. Over to you, Dr. Azlan.
Okay. Okay, dah. Okay. Tak payah. Oh, yes. Okay. Thank you, Simran. So now we are at the end of the session today. So as a chairperson of ICEI and on behalf of my friends of ICEI committee, we would like to convey the appreciation to a number of parties who involved in this program.
Still working. You're welcome.
Sorry. What's the problem? Okay, first, we would like to congratulate the participants and winners of the short film competition. And also thank you very much to ANGKASA for sponsoring the prizes. Second, we also to deliver our sincere thanks to everybody who involved directly or indirectly in the to make this webinar successfully organized. First to Simran, Miss Simran, and Mrs. Azlan, Prozeni, and Dr. Dongre, who have been working hard as a secretariat of this joint organized webinar between ICA-AP and ANGKASA. Second to Dr. Noaini, who has performed an excellent job as our moderator today. And finally, to our distinguished guest speakers, Dr. Pichai from India, Ms. Anahita from Iran, Mr. Yota Ishida from NFUCA Japan, and this is also my friends, my in committee in ICEI, Mr. Ichiro Nakamori. Hi friends, Mr. Nakamori. He also the vice chair of ICEI, and is our friend from Malaysia, our mentor, my mentor also, Professor Dr. Wan Mokhtar Wan Yusuf. Thank you for your beautiful sharing experience and idea how especially for cooperative, how to prepare themselves after pandemic, post-pandemic, but we still don't know where and when the pandemic will the pandemic. So once again, I would like to thank you. So I'm consider the efforts done to organize this webinar is success. And this is for the information, this is the first seminar for ICEI for this year. And we are planning at least 4 webinars for this year. So before I close this webinar, so the request from the organizer to everybody to stay for the photo session. Wajina say that, wait. Wajina say, come, join us for the photo session. Dr. Naini, come. Jangan ambil kursi ke apa?
Berdiri lah.
Oh,
nampak cantik.
ya, nak mandi. Okay, come. Facing. Okay.
Smile, everyone.
Okay, ready, 1, 2. Okay, freestyle. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Bye. See you in the next webinar. Simran, thank you.
Thank you so much,
very
Dr. Azlan.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, the team at ANGKASA, for your fabulous and constant support. Thanks a lot to all the distinguished speakers of today, starting from Ms. Anahita, Dr. Pichai, Mr. Nakamori, Mr. Ryota, and Professor Yusuf. Thank you all for your time, and thanks a lot to all the participants who were with us throughout the 2-hour program. And of course, congratulations to all the winners of the competition. Once our next webinar program is formed up, we will contact you again. Till then, stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.
So